After surviving a serious motorcycle crash, Darrin was unable to ride until we built him a motorcycle, which he now affectionately calls the gift. This story is about how the gift came to be. I met Darrin probably around 2010, around there. We were both actively involved in the local Ducati club because we both own Ducatis. And the Ducati club name is Doom, of all things, which stands for Ducati Owners in Minneapolis. And Darrin lives and breathes everything two wheels. That's his passion, from MotoGP to Supercross. His favorite brand is definitely Ducati, which he owns, a Ducati 748, which he rides on the street and to track days. In his everyday life, he's a truck driver and very selfless person, give you the shirt off his back, help you in an emergency type deal, real salt of the earth. But, due to his responsibilities of, being a father of three, husband to his wife, Kristen, and his job, time is very precious for him. So he does what he can to spend time with his hobby when he has the time. And back in May 28th of 2012, we were both attending a motorcycle track day at Road America, which is a racetrack in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It was a beautiful weekend, mostly sunny, no rain, temps in the mid 70s. And at what point during the day, the track was shut down, and that happens at these events. Somebody has an accident or runs off the track or leak that they got to clean up, fluids, whatever. So it's not uncommon for the track to get shut down during an event. But what was uncommon was a few minutes later, there's a helicopter hovering overhead, which is a medevac helicopter, which gives you a sinking feeling when you're at any motorsport event when you see a helicopter overhead. Because it's an emergency medical response. Somebody's seriously hurt and needs possibly life-saving measures. And so when we saw that, it sets a mood. I didn't attend that event with Darrin directly, so I wasn't aware it was him at first. Found out later in the day. And the reason I say earlier in the video about surviving is because had he not had a good quality motorcycle helmet, there's a chance he wouldn't be with us today, because he's took a substantial hit to the head. It's part of the risk you take doing these type of activities. So fast forward to the next year, in the winter of 2013, I decide I'm going to venture into this type of business, meaning a motorcycle track day provider, track school type thing. And I announce it, and Darrin is one of the first people to come forward to volunteer. And this is after him surviving a pretty serious motorcycle accident and still not fully recovered. But, says a lot about the depth of our friendship and what it meant to him that he wanted to, help what he could. It says a lot about him. That's just who he is. That's his personality. And if you've ever been involved with motorsports events directly, like running them or volunteering, it's very grassroots. And we rely heavily on volunteers to make it run. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. So when I announced the motorcycle track day business back in 2013, like I said, that was like winter. Darrin's still recovering from his accident, and he may have been back to work maybe around that time, because the accident was in May. So this is around January, February. So he's trying to get his life back into normal, where he's able to work and do his regular life. One thing that happens that most people don't think about is when you get in an accident situation, from one of these events, you may have health insurance, but you'll find out real quick what they're willing to cover, because there's a lot of them that won't cover, everything involved with it. Like sometimes they don't want to pay for a helicopter ride. It's extremely expensive, and sometimes they think it's excessive. And I don't know what Darrin's insurance didn't cover exactly, but it left him with a sizable bill, So it was a big financial burden for him, and which definitely meant it was going to be a while before he ever was able to ride again, because he only had one motorcycle and it was damaged pretty badly. So after I announced it, he wanted to volunteer, and we started our first event, which was like second week in May or something like that of 2013. And to give you a little insight what the weather's like in this time part of the world, even at middle of May, we still had snow at our first motorcycle track day, which was unbelievable. It's and had a few really good close friends show up. Wasn't a lot of people, wasn't a huge turnout, but it was enough to make it worthwhile. And to Darrin's credit, when he at this time, he's working 6 days a week, night shift, Monday through Saturday. And our event is Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is when it starts. So he'd get there around 8 a.m. and after working all night. And he's not a 20-year-old kid. He's a middle-aged man at this time and recovering from a bad accident. So, a lot of credit to him for just the determination and the commitment and the willing to do this to help a friend out. It means a lot to me. It meant a lot to our other volunteers because, we did like 120 events in the time we were operating. He was the face that everybody recognized as part of our crew because he was always there. He was just about at every event. Around 2017, a mutual friend named Sam approached me he says, what do you think about trying to get donations to fix Darrin's Ducati? And so we can get him riding again, collect some money and we'll fix it and then we'll, get him back in the saddle again. I told Sam, I'm like, you know what? I really like that idea. My biggest concern is his Ducati's got a lot of damage and it's an expensive bike for him to operate. He says, why don't we get him like a dedicated track bike? Because I think we can get him a decent motorcycle that's not so maintenance hungry and a little less expensive to operate for similar money. It'd be something he can ride more often probably. And Sam responded he goes, you know what, John, that's really what the main intention is to get him riding again. So he agreed with that. I approached our crew, meaning our volunteers. I don't remember how many we had at that time. It was over 20, probably less than 30, but pretty good sized crew. I didn't let the public know, the crew, of course, I told everybody, but Darrin, of course, presented the idea to them and asked if they'd want to be involved with it. And it was an overwhelming response. Everybody wanted to do something for Darrin. Because this was, 4 or 5 years into the business, and they all knew his level of commitment, his, the amount of time he put into this and his dedication. Everybody appreciated what he did. And that really hit me pretty hard too, in a positive way, because, things sound like a good idea in your head sometimes. You tell it to somebody else. You don't always know how it's going to go over. But when you get an overwhelming positive response, it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing the right thing and we're doing it for the right person. So after we collected some money from our crew, my friend Lee, who was also a volunteer, he started kind of combing the internet, the forums and the local ride groups and stuff, looking for a retired race bike, like a Japanese, sport bike that was used for track days. So it had a lot of the modifications done to make it more of a track bike or a former race bike. So it'd be suitable for track days. He came upon a bike that was locally known as the Mr. Yuck bike. Mr. Yuck, if you're not familiar, was this black and green logo for like poison control it was a sticker they would give families, parents, whatever, to stick on stuff in your cabinets, like cleaning stuff, bleach, soap, whatever, to let children know that you see the little Mr. Yuck symbol, you don't drink it, it's poisonous, don't touch it, don't drink it. So this race bike was flat black. It's a Suzuki GSXR. I don't remember if it's a 600 or a 750, and it had a giant Mr. Yuck sticker on it. So like I said, it was known as the Mr. Yuck bike. It was owned by Randy. Lee reached out to him and talked to him about it and struck a deal with him and got it for a fair price. And every race bike, old race bike, track bike, whatever, comes with a box of parts, leftover stuff, stuff that had broken off. And so they have the other good part, because then when they replaced a part, they put 2 new parts on, but now you got one part that's undamaged. And, there's always just a hodgepodge of get this box of mixed up stuff. And sometimes it's stuff from when it was street legal, like turn signals and headlights. So Lee makes the deal. He brings the bike back to my shop and we look it over and assess it and get a running list going of what it for sure needs, like tires and stuff like that, and basic maintenance stuff like a fresh chain and fluids. One of our husband and wife teams, Rich and Leah, they volunteered to take the bike home with them and start doing the mechanicals. And so they took it to their house, and Rich did a majority of the mechanical work at his place. We left the body work with me. I did, fiberglass body work on a race bike, which it gets beat up. They fall down. People fall down. The bike falls down. It's not perfect. Believe me. They get put away, wet, rode hard, that kind of stuff. And so I patched up the body work, made some repairs on it, then handed it off to another one of our coaches named Ryan, who at the time was a professional body man at an auto body shop. At this time we have a mutual group chat going, going back and forth about progress, what needs to happen. And we have a deadline set. We have a track day on May 26, 2018, which was 2 days after Darrin's birthday on a Saturday. And so it's like, this is the perfect time. It was also close to the anniversary of his accident. So it had a lot of meaning to it for him. So we're on pace to make it happen. Things are moving good. And what we get hung up on is the color to paint it. We didn't have this mutual agreement where everybody was like, yeah, this sounds right. And so I just kind of had to make an executive decision on my own. And looking at Darrin's equipment and bikes and stuff that he's owned, he's always had yellow. He's got a yellow Ducati 748. He had a yellow Suzuki 2-stroke dirt bike. All his riding gear was yellow. So for whatever reason, he loved yellow. So I told Ryan, let's go with yellow. We also added some black to it to break it up so it wasn't just this big solid chunk of yellow. So we get on pace to deliver it for that date, May 26th, like I said. And things are coming together. So Ryan completes the paint work. Rich and Leah complete the mechanical work. Get the bike back to my place. Start putting it together so we can get it ready to deliver it to the track day for Darrin. It's going together. No real issues. Everybody did a great job. Everybody put a lot of time into it, a lot of effort, and donated with their own money too. So it was great it was a great team building exercise too, more than anything. It brought us all really close together. It's something that still, connects us all. So we're getting close to the time of, the track date in May. Friend Sam that helped initiate this project is in charge of bringing Darrin's wife and kids to the event to make this kind of like this formal presentation. We're going to do it at our riders meeting before we start the event. Darrin arrives, like he usually did, around 8:30, whatever, just right in time for the riders meeting. Sam shows up with Darrin's wife and kids, which one of those things, you can't hide that part. So once they show up, the clock's ticking. Darrin's suspicious what's going on. He sees his family, and it's like, okay, gotta get the riders meeting going. We can't dally too much. We got to get this going so it doesn't fall apart, so the surprise isn't completely ruined, So we get the meeting going and make an announcement and tell everybody about this motorcycle we put together for Darrin. And so this was news to our riders too, because like I said, we kept this in the dark to the general public, and just our volunteers knew about it because I knew we would be able to get enough help and support and money from them to pull this off without going outside that group. And so crowd was really into it. That was good. Overwhelming positive, applause, cheering, that kind of stuff. Because at this year at this point we're 5 years in or whatever. So we got a regular crew of customers, regular crew of volunteers, and just kind of a little family going on. So everybody knew Darrin. Yeah, everybody was just happy to have that for him. You could tell. You could tell on Darrin's face, how moved he was because, he just gets tight-lipped and it's just like caught off guard. And, and if you know my relationship with Darrin, I like to poke at him a little bit. Usually I try to get him to put him in like little awkward situations just to see how he responds, because he's not not always good with those situations. So this was, you could see it on him. He's like, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? You know, he was pretty blown away. So we didn't want to sit there. Didn't want to sit there too long and make him uncomfortable. So we, got through that part, then did our writers meeting, and, got the event running. We made sure we had somebody to cover Darrin's position that day so Darrin could actually ride for the whole event and have a day off and enjoy his birthday and enjoy his new motorcycle. So after the event got going, everybody's up and riding, and it's, we have this rotation of 3 groups that go out per hour. Each group rides for about 15 minutes and then rotate to the next group. And so it's kind of like a machine. It's just things are cycling. And so everybody's out riding and doing their thing. And so then I got time to go over and talk to Darrin privately and actually touch base with him after we gave it to him, because, the event kind of consumes all your time until it gets rolling. So it was kind of our first chance to connect one-to-one. Still very blown away and appreciative, and very humble person, So I got into him about how we picked yellow. He says, we couldn't really agree to a color, but I knew you liked yellow because you had a yellow bike and yellow gear. And so yellow must be something you really like. And he says, John, he goes, I don't think I ever told you this, but he said the reason why yellow was his color was because that was his mother's favorite color. So he always had yellow motorcycles and gear and stuff to honor his mother. It took on a much deeper meaning than just being, possibly his favorite color. It was something Darrin was doing to honor his mother on top of it. So, we got this whole other twist to this, helping a good friend out, a well-deserved person that, wanted to get back into riding, financially strapped, let's see what we can do to make it happen. And it happened, very profound experience for everybody involved. Yeah, it's something we'll always connect through. What still sticks out from all this is how when I went to the crew to ask for help and support for this, everybody jumped in without hesitation. It just says a lot for, who Darrin is, as a person, and, very willing to help this person because of his, he's just a good, decent guy. So now this year was 14 years since his accident. The main reason for this video is to share the story, share it with the motorcycle community and share it for Darrin. So he has his own little background on it since he wasn't involved with it and knows the whole story behind it. So here we are 14 years later after Darrin's accident, and just wanted to have an opportunity to share this story with the world and for Darrin, so he has a little background on everything that happened that led up to it, and just a little life lesson. Show people what you can do. You can really make a difference in the world for somebody. It doesn't take a lot of effort. Something like this, a little more elaborate, a little bit more resource heavy, but when you got a group of people, it happened pretty effortlessly. A little bit of management. Other than that, it just happened. I'd do it again, and I think all the people involved would do it again also. Definitely no regrets. So yeah, be good to each other. And Darrin, thank you very much. Always appreciate. I'll always appreciate your friendship and always feel in debt to you. So, thank you, sir. God bless. Talk to you soon.